After several days of delays in the Boruto Chapter 29 sneak peeks, we finally got one single panel, and that one scene alone is something we can break down for at least 8 minutes. I'm Nim without the E, and I really hope you guys can help me push the algorithm by hitting the like button or smashing the hype button on this video. Once again, thank you so much, guys. So yeah, first and foremost, it looks like this leaked panel shows Kawaki with his karma fully activated, combined with a technique, or more precisely, the moment he summons those black rods while ISSHIKI'S eye is active. There are so many clues and hidden hints in just this one panel. In other words, Chapter 29 is set to continue an epic battle, picking up right where Chapter 28 left off, after Boruto had no other choice but to activate his karma. But quick disclaimer, at this point I'm trying to look at this from multiple perspectives. So if some of this sounds illogical to you or doesn't fully make sense, that's totally fine. Yep, that's just how it is. First, let's start with a simple analysis, especially about Kawaki himself. In other words, there's something interesting, or in my opinion, the most perfect way to represent this, and that is the destruction of Kawaki's own body. Meaning, with this one panel leak, for some reason, Ikemoto has quietly confirmed Kawaki's desire, which even Amado considers to be something extremely dangerous. But in this extremely dangerous context, there are two sides. First, it's dangerous for Kawaki himself. Second, it's dangerous for Amado himself. And once again, is this another game that Amado is about to play? Or more precisely, some kind of manipulation? Because at this point, we should still remember how Amado was ultimately proven to have another scenario in mind. Kawaki, who we assumed had already reached his maximum level during the fight against Jura in the Land of Wind, apparently had not reached it fully. Meaning, even though Boruto exposed Amado's secret about how he adjusted Kawaki's attack power to increase the defense of Kawaki's body, Amado did not actually adjust it to the absolute maximum level. Because after Kawaki's fight with Jura, he started to believe that he actually had a real chance to take Jura down. However, the core issue is that he still needs additional power, and that's the main point here. But the more power that gets adjusted and pushed beyond its limits, the greater the consequence becomes, and that consequence directly threatens Kawaki himself. The most terrifying part is, it wouldn't be just Jura who ends up destroyed. Before Kawaki can even properly fight Jura, he would already ruin his own body first. And that, at the very least, is exactly what Amado warned about. In this context, one thing is certain. This is yet another manipulation, where it seems Amado has to secretly play out this scenario so that it is not fully known by Kawaki. Because somehow the Chapter 29 leaks make a lot of sense if we assume that Kawaki has increased his power, just not completely. Moreover, what we might not be able to see and what makes us unsure is his appearance. Yeah. You know what I mean, right? Previously, when Kawaki fought Jura and ended up unconscious for some time, his body didn't look very muscular and his clothes weren't as messy as a beggar's. Yeah, I honestly don't know the right words to describe this, because at least after some of Kawaki's limiters were removed, there was a much more significant change, starting from the clothes he wore to his body, which looked so muscular. But again, if we compare Kawaki's body in the previous chapter and now, do you see a significant difference? Honestly, I think Amado is still the same. Instead of increasing Kawaki's power, he manipulates and deceives Kawaki as before, so that Kawaki doesn't completely die or be destroyed before Amado achieves his real goal of reviving his daughter. Because when it comes to the difference between Amado removing or increasing Kawaki's power, there is something very significant. And if we refer to the fight between Boruto and Kawaki at the Hokage Monument, as you can see here, that is clearly a very different appearance, right? This means that regardless of the theory we've discussed before that this timeline is a branching timeline in future, at least we've gotten a clue or hint that Kawaki ultimately undergoes so many changes with each increase in power. Then, continuing with a simple analysis of this one panel, there are a few things that can be concluded. First, do you think Jura appears in the middle of Momoshi's invasion of Konoha, and Kawaki will support Boruto while he fights Momoshi? Actually, this sounds quite reasonable. When you look at the angle and Kawaki's position, him floating in the air, his gaze, and especially the way he summons those black rods, it really does suggest that an aerial battle is happening at this point. But once again, this still can't be concluded 100%. We can't say for sure whether Jura appears during Momoshi's invasion or not, because there's already a confirmation that if Konoha becomes the battlefield, Jura will not appear. Or, to be more precise, right now Jura is targeting Himawari and Boruto. In this operation and scenario, Boruto and Himawari hold the highest potential to trigger Jura's appearance. But behind this case, Koji actually confirms it. Even though Boruto is capable of triggering Jura's appearance, at least if Konoha is the battlefield, then Jura will not appear. But we need to remember that sometimes things don't always go according to what Kashin Koji says. Because recently there has been so much evidence that we cannot believe that what Kashin Koji says will happen 100%. A simple example is Mamushi's prediction that he would come to Konoha. In short, Mamushi's arrival in Konoha was earlier than expected. Secondly, Kashin Koji also predicted that Boruto was done for, no doubt. This means that even though Koji previously said that even if Konoha became a battlefield, it would not trigger Jura, there is still no guarantee. There will be many scenarios and plot twists that will occur beyond our expectations. However, for some reason, seeing how the leaked panel shows Kawaki in this scene, I don't think it's a coincidence without reason. This means that at this point, a plot twist in chapter 29 will be revealed. For example, a few months ago, a leaked panel showed Jura sitting casually while enjoying tea in the village of Konoha, and the majority of fans assumed that Jura had arrived early before Mamushi's invasion of Konoha. At that time, the hottest scenario or topic was Mamushi's movements after Boruto made the future branch out in a worse direction. And the panel that we thought Koji had mispredicted, where he should have seen the high probability of Jura coming to Konoha, was actually just a flashback from several chapters earlier. So in conclusion, with the evidence we have, this single panel revealing Kawaki floating in midair, summoning black rods, and clearly preparing for battle, could this mean there's a major plot twist coming? What if in the end this is actually setting up a second showdown between Kawaki and Jura? Honestly, theoretically, anything and everything is possible. But one thing is certain, with the evidence that Kawaki activated his karma in the middle of Boruto's battle against Mamushi, especially since Boruto spontaneously activated his karma as a result of Kawaki's karma resonance, because, after all, so far there has been no explicit explanation about the distance required to deactivate karma resonance. Because at least the first time Boruto and Kawaki's karma resonated, Boruto had to return to the hideout base to deactivate his karma. Meanwhile, in the middle of Kawaki and Jura's battle in the Land of Wind, there is a panel where we see Boruto moving away from Kawaki to deactivate his karma. This raises the question, how far is the actual distance required to deactivate karma resonance? But if the fact is that Boruto's karma is active, not as a result of resonance with Kawaki, is it actually Momoshiki who triggered Boruto's karma to become active? But if there is a scenario where Boruto and Momoshiki share consciousness, is this one panel leak related? Yeah, you know what I mean? Because aside from some of the analysis and theories I've explained, there is an indication that I honestly doubt, namely Momoshiki's consciousness triggering Kawaki's emotions. But for this case, I think it's highly implausible. What do you guys think? So yeah, if you have any other theories or ideas, let's discuss them in the comments. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe. I'm Nim without the E. See you in the next video. Bye bye, Dada Bio.